What if I tell you that this gooey, juicy, very meaty looking piece of food isn't actually meat? And neither is this. Yes, they all look like meat. They apparently even taste like meat, but they're absolutely, 100% not meat at all. They're all plants. And more people are choosing to eat these plant-based alternatives over eating actual cooked meat.
People who can afford to eat meat 5 or 6 times a week probably shouldn't be, and should be looking at reducing their carbon footprint by switching over to something more sustainable like plant-based meat.
India's plant-based meat market is estimated to grow into a $500 million industry in just the next 3 years.
What is essentially happening is that probably we are too much in the chain to realize the immensity of this change.
Today, we want to know what the future of food holds, and what impact having a diet like this could do to your body as well as to the rest of the planet. Could switching to a plant-based meat alternative diet actually make you healthier? Could it help save the planet from certain climate destruction? And, most importantly, will it taste good?
The time for plant-based meat has arrived.
So much to break down in this brave new world. Let's see if plants can replace real meat. The motivations for making this switch could be many. But can cruelty-free meats really taste the same and prove to be a sustainable alternative?
Plant-based meats are basically plants which have been treated in such a way, and they undergo food science that those plants start tasting, feeling, and nutritionally they are just like meat. So they are meat not from animals but from plants.
So what a plant-based meat product would look like is it will be based out of some combination in which soya could be one of the ingredients, and there would be many other ingredients, and then shaped like a prawn or some part of a chicken. So what happens is, plus the flavors are added, the same flavors which are basically just spices, which one would typically add in a barbecue sauce.
So we are very ethically driven as a core team. So for us, having a cruelty-free alternative was the main, motivating factor. So that essentially within the core team, we decided that, there could be many consumers, if given the right product at the right price point, they might just enjoy plant-based as compared to animal-based product.
The idea behind plant-based meat is not very new. It's been around for a decade. Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods have been making beef analogs in the Western markets for over 10 years now. What we wanted to do was bring Western technology which is being used by these stalwarts, but make Indian tasting products out of it.
It replicates that texture and in some cases the taste without abusing animals, which is wonderful, right? And also it's a good option for anyone that is transiting.
What we are trying to do is provide an alternative to producers and consumers that feels like a simple switch and not a sacrifice. We want to be able to provide them with something that tastes the same or better and costs the same or less. So it's easy to have that alternative, and plant-based meats are an excellent example of this.
Meat alternatives may provide the same texture and the taste your palate desires. But do they also fulfill the nutritional value meats bring with them? Does this switch come with its own drawbacks? Let's see what the industry experts believe.
It has been proven that the plant-based eating is much better health-wise as compared to animal-based eating. And one very interesting, very intuitive data point is that, which is there for everyone to see, is that plant-based by its very nature all the plant-based products will have zero cholesterol.
So plant-based diets traditionally have been known to have a scarcity in some micronutrients like say vitamin B12. But technology now is reaching to the point where we can actually get vitamin B12 or cyanobalamin from plant-based sources. Going forward, technology will be at the place where you can replace everything that meat gives you, but from plant-based sources.
My personal view is that while it's a nice crutch and it's a nice direction to take for people who want to give up meat, it cannot be the main food it can be something which is a transitory thing. It cannot be the main thing on the plate.
So one of the reasons I would not recommend plant-based alternatives as a big part of your diet is because it is still something that is high in sodium, saturated fat, and highly processed. I do believe now we are slowly coming up with cleaner options, but the majority of them are not clean. So especially if you are health conscious, it is just as bad for your body, just a little healthier than, of course, eating meat.
Our guess is that a lot of these companies that we work directly with will improve their products even on this dimension. So where something might have 14 ingredients on the label today, maybe 5 years from now it'll be 11 or 7 ingredients, because they've done a lot of innovation at the ingredient level to do what I said, which is pack in the nutrition, all the good stuff that you need in your diet, but take out some of the bad stuff, which is really good. That's a positive move, we think, for the entire industry and for the consumer.
When the alternative market expands and is made more accessible, what does it hold for the industry that survives on animal agriculture? Some fear extinction, but is there a hopeful future for meat markets in store?
A lot of people have this question that what will happen to the animal agriculture industry. I think this is just like asking in the early 90s, what will happen if computers come in? So I think change is constant and there's always value addition.
I look at probably a timeline of say 7-8 years or 10 years for a very large scale shift where employability becomes an issue. As the change happens, I think most of the people will pivot. Essentially, they are into the field of business. They are not in the field of killing animals. So jobs will be generated.
We would love to live in a world where the smarter protein alternative, that is plant-based meats or otherwise, is something that feels like a default choice for consumers and for producers. Now that means building a thriving industry, a thriving marketplace where not just a few dozen entrepreneurs, but thousands of entrepreneurs are bringing these products to market, where farmers are being benefited because we've integrated with the agricultural supply chain in a place like India, where we're creating not thousands but millions of jobs.
So fundamentally, for people or countries who want to reduce the burden of slaughtering animals, this might be a good fix, an alternative fix. But for people who are eating healthy vegetarian food, this may not be a good fix because they're already eating healthy.
I think over the long term, it is definitely going to be more accessible because Burger King is already doing it, KFC in certain countries is already doing it, a lot of restaurants have plant-based menus, and it's just going to become easier over time.
I think in India, the price would be the place where this concept can live or die.
Currently, people are vegetarian much more than what they are in the West, but that's changing. With income going up, meat consumption will go up in India as well. Therefore, it's very important that we start this, and this space will have a very bright future going ahead in India.
In school, we're taught concepts like the food chain and the food web, with simple diagrams putting a human on top, implying they survive off the meat of what's immediately underneath them. But with the impending doom of climate change, and with moral attitudes towards animal treatment sharpening over the past couple of decades, all of that knowledge might just go for a very long toss. In fact, according to research done by the Good Food Institute, a huge 63% of Indians are expected to move to a plant-based meat diet in the future. Considering that India is the third biggest polluter in the agriculture and livestock industry, this could spell good news for the climate. Studies have shown that the positive impact comes in even the minutest of ways. For example, 1 kilogram of meat needs close to 442 liters of water to be bred. Its plant-based alternative, on the other hand, needs just 84 liters per kg. It uses 47 to 99% less land than meat farming, emits 30 to 90% less greenhouse gases, and uses 72 to 99% less water. Even for the skeptics who raise their eyebrows at their nutritional benefits, these numbers are telling. Whether one likes it or not, we're going to be seeing a lot more of these alternatives in the marketplace. But what remains to be seen is if it really will have a positive impact on nature and the general health of the planet.